It's a waiver wire Tuesday, and we're looking at the wide receivers. We're looking at pickups for your traditional leagues. We're looking at pickups for your deep leagues. We do this every Tuesday. And the story of this week's waiver wire is there's a lot of guys who have some upside volatility. Their dart throws, their gambles, but could also help you win some matchups down the line. But before we look at these wide receivers, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We're looking at the waiver wire every day. We're looking at wide receivers every day. We're using these videos to help you set your lineup. Ric Flair's watching you. Hit that button. Stop missing out. Don't disappoint Ric Flair back there. We're starting off with Quentin Johnston. He's been getting it done these last few weeks here. Last 3 weeks, he scored a touchdown in each game. We're running a lot of routes like we're always doing. We're getting a lot of opportunity in the offense. A 24.2% target share last week. And you're looking at the ADOT, 22.4, which is top tier. On average, he's like, around a 15 average at the target on the season. So we're getting a good target share, a good ADOT on the year, and we're running a lot of routes. We're getting a lot of opportunity in this offense. Quentin Johnston's looking good. He's looking good for the rest of the season. He's going to be up and down due to the nature of the offense. They're not always going to be in shootouts. They're not always going to push it downfield. But he's looking good for a waiver wire get. For all these waiver wire gets that you're looking at, he's looking solid. Christian Watson is an upside play at the wide receiver position. There's a lot of downside as well with this guy because he doesn't hit every single week. He's a deep threat. Does not get a ton of targets in this offense. It really just has to be the matchup for him. A 23.5% target share last week, 4 targets. Ran on 75% of the routes. The 3 wide receivers you're looking at in this offense is him, Dubs, and Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed and Dubs should be rostered. Christian Watson, next guy up. This team has the carousel effect. All the wide receivers who are running some routes in this offense has the opportunity to get it on any given Sunday due to the nature of the quarterback play, how they spread the ball out around, and then also how potent the offense is. Christian Watson, a good gamble dart throw for the rest of the season. Jauan Jennings should be rostered in all leagues. However, I'm still getting questions on him. He's good to go to pick up. He's going to be good for the rest of the season. With Brandon Ayuk out, he's going to be getting targets. He's going to be getting opportunity. He's running on 94% of the routes. The targets are there. The air yards aren't really, but it really is situational and game script for those. However, the volume, 11 targets in each of his last 2 games. He's always going to get the extra work with Ayuk or any of the wide receivers out. That being said, Jennings is good for the rest of the season. Don't worry about picking him up. Just get him. Ricky Pearsall, too, down on last week. Still ran on 65% of the routes. That's rounded up, of course. Not much volume in this matchup. Jennings got the work. However, the weeks prior, 5 targets, 4 targets, 6 targets. There's opportunity here, especially in the right matchup. Pearsall's a good look for a gamble play. Also, a rookie to melt up in the back end of the season. Elijah Moore's getting a lot of work. He's getting a lot of opportunity in this offense, and he's getting targets by the game at a good clip. 6, 12, 9, 8. That's with Jameis Winston back there. That's always good to see for your wide receivers. The downside to him is when we're looking at him, we're looking at a wide receiver here who's got a rough schedule. Steelers, then on the road to the Broncos, then on the road to the Steelers. Then you got the Chiefs. With these Browns wide receivers, They're sells due to that. But if you need the workload with that these wide receivers are getting, you got to stick it out too. Because if you're looking at those games and you're like, I can't start them any of those games, then they got to go. If you're looking at those games and you look at your wide receivers and you're like, I gotta gamble on the workload, then they got to stay. And he's on the injury report right now. You got to monitor him for the rest of the week. Jalen Coker has been grading out route all season long. Had 8 targets in his last game. We're coming off a bye. Adam Thielen should be back. It is against the Chiefs, though. However, that Week 13 matchup against the Bucks, something to look at for Jalen Coker. Alec Pierce, deep threat dandy, up and down production. If you want to gamble with the wide receiver, maybe it gets you nothing, but there's also a chance He gets you a ton of fantasy points. He can rack them up in bunches with the deep targets. Something to look at. John Metchie was on the field for a good bit. A 61% snap share. He got opportunities in the offense. It was a tricky game with the Cowboys. The game script was tricky. You got another tricky one with the Titans coming up. You may not want to pick him up due to that. But if you're interested in the Texans, the volume of the offense with Nico Collins back, he's another wheel that's turning in this offense to look at. MVS is hitting. He's hitting. He's getting the deep balls downfield. He's getting those targets. Those are money targets for fantasy football. He should continue to do so. He's going to be on bye, but we got the Rams and Giants coming up. We got a good schedule for the Saints to push the ball downfield. Air yards should be coming. Targets downfield should be coming. A gamble for the rest of the season up and down, but those top tier plays are in there for him. Mike Williams. Probably going to be very similar. Probably going to have some boom weeks here in the back end of the season. Maybe one. Maybe one game where he goes off. We had 32% snap rate last week, so it's increasing from 12 to 32 as we're getting acclimated to the offense. We're going to get deep targets. They're going to be contested. He's going to get red zone looks. Expect that from Mike Williams because that's what he is, and that's going to bake into his production because the snaps are going to go up, the routes are going to go up sooner than later this season. Ray McCloud, you want him when the matchups are tricky. You got 6 targets against the Broncos. We're on bye. You're probably not looking to pick him up unless you're in a deeper league. Look at him for tricky matchups. You got the Chargers coming up after this one. That being said, you don't want him, but you kind of want him. You're watching Ray McCloud. Adam Thielen will be back or should be back or could be back sooner than later. We're watching the reports on him. He should be stashed on your IR or on an IR, but if not, keep the finger on the trigger. Parker Washington has been a dud, and this offense has been a dud. He's been getting work in the offense, running on 65% of the routes, a good slot rate. If things start to cook or you like the matchup, you may want to look at him. We have Houston coming up in Week 13, but we're also going to be on bye in Week 12, so don't really pick him up. Keep your finger on the trigger. If you're in a 16 team or maybe like 18, 20, 22 teams, I'd be more apt to look at Parker Washington due to the snap rates, due to the route participation. But we're in the slot. I don't see the volume really going his way to get upside. Jalen McMillan is a player that could surprise you on the back end of the season. The schedule gets a little softer. You got the Giants, you got the Panthers coming up. He's running a lot of routes in the offense, a good route participation rate. We're coming back from an injury. We're coming back from a bye week. A guy to look at for the future. Trey Palmer's just an upside dandy, getting deep targets. You bring one in, he could splash on you. Sterling Shepard, a slot dandy who in tricky matchups where the ball's flowing the right way could hit for you, but he's a gamble. Kayshon Boutte is part of the Patriots carousel effect here. Drake May's doing a good job spreading the ball around. Multiple wide receivers are getting opportunity. This is another week where he ran on plus 90% of the routes, a 97.8% route participation rate. Almost all of them, 6 targets in this matchup. Last 4 games, he's seen 6 targets. He's getting that work. He's getting that opportunity. That's eventually going to hit. If not, he's just going to be a workhorse with no points, but he's eventually going to hit for something. Kendrick Bourne was the hitter. He scored the touchdown. We ran on 50% of the routes, so less opportunity, more fantasy points, a 13.2% target share, 1 less target. But again, any wide receiver in this offense can get it. Drake May's doing good. He does not discriminate among his wide receivers. DeMario Douglas is doing well too with 7 targets, a 63 route participation rate. That being said, if you're going just on routes, it's Kayshon Boutte. Targets, Douglas. Actual fantasy points, Kendrick Bourne. It's a carousel effect. Anybody can get it out of this offense on any given week. Just look at it as that and just pick your poison for the week. AD Mitchell can get the deep targets. He's doing very good when it comes to advanced metrics. Quarterback play, although it was looking good last week, looking better, that's going to be up and down depending on what happens going forward because it has been. That's what we know to be true throughout the season. And on top of that, he's got a lot of competition in this offense. But if you're looking for an upside gamble, AD Mitchell could do it. I like Alec Pierce better for the upside gamble because he's been more consistent. But if you're in a deeper league or you want to stash or you want the rookie upside, there you go. Dontayvion Wicks. Don Wicks, the car salesman. He's good at creating separation, not always good at bringing in the ball, not great at getting routes Any wide receiver in this offense can get it on any given week. That being said, he's a gamble play, and that's it. You're probably not looking to pick him up. Rashod Bateman is a gamble on any given Sunday, but he will hit more often than what you would want to admit because we're running a lot of routes on the field. We're getting those deep shots downfield, and we're getting targets, and it's consistent between 4 to 5 targets a game. On average, pretty much. That's what Rashod Bateman's doing. And on average, we're getting a deeper ADOT than 6.4. Usually it's double digits, pushing 15. That being said, he's a dart throw gamble on any given Sunday. All he has to do is bring in one of those deep shots, bring in a couple ancillary shots. We're good to go for okay stat line. Troy Franklin, 19 routes ran. We got a touchdown in this game. 2 targets, though. The work rate has been a little bit up and down. You're just really watching him. If you need the prospect, if you're in a 16-teamer, you're looking at him just in case he catches fire down the stretch. He does get targeted at a good clip per his routes ran because Bo Nix likes him. That is something to look at. That is the one metric that stands out with this guy. Bo Nix looks his way because of that Oregon connection. He looks at him hard. So that's something to pay attention to. But Devaughn Vele is looking good. Almost 75% of the routes ran. 26 routes ran in this game. 5 targets. We're getting opportunity. It's steady. He is the rookie wide receiver for redraft to look at. Both wide receivers you want to pay attention to because the numbers, the advanced analytics, are trending towards both wide receivers to be moneyball plays for you in the long term. But Devaughn Vele right now is getting some work in the right matchups, the right situations in the games. He's a good gamble dart throw. Michael Wilson, though, is a guy to pay attention to. He's very spotty. If Marvin Harrison Jr. is locked down, he could be getting it on the outside. He's up and down, but he's running a lot of routes, getting a lot of opportunity. Demarcus Robinson. It's just there's some moments where Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, they're getting pressured on or whatever, and he just escapes free and gets a good target here and there. And it's a gamble. It's hit twice this year since they've both been back. That being said, that's something to pay attention to. That's something you can gamble with. He's out there on 75% of the routes. 20 routes ran last week. Also, weird game script because they were up on the Patriots. That matters. You got Philly, you got Indy coming up. That's something to look at. Noah Brown's been running a lot of routes, getting a lot of opportunity these last few games. And you're looking at the target 6, 6, 7, 4. You can roll with that if you really need to. If you're really hurting, you're looking for a wide receiver. He's another dart throw candidate. You just throw him in. Pray for the best. See what happens with him. Maybe the fantasy gods will bless you. But those are the wide receivers that we're looking at going into week 12. Let me know who you're trying to pick up in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.